Hello, you're listening to the Mets in the UK podcast. It's been a while. I've forgotten how to do this. Your home Mets content in the UK. You can catch the podcast on Spotify, YouTube, and all good podcast hosts. You can find us on all the socials: Facebook, Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, X, at Mets in the UK, or you can use the hashtag MITUK to get involved. We're going to be back a bit more regular now. The season and spring training are near. Today, though, is Tuesday, the 20th of January, and I put the show notes together. I sent it to the ladies, and I was corrected very quickly. It's Carson Benj's birthday, so priority number one for the show, not being back, not how is Toria and Tracey doing. Priority number one, happy birthday, Carson Benj. Toria
Happy birthday.
Us wishing him a happy birthday. So there we go. We are joined, as always, by our regulars, Tracey and Tor. Joe's not with us this week. Sadly, she's got better things to do. Ladies, how are you, Tracey?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, my dear?
I am good. It's good to be back and talking all things Mets ahead of the new season. Night Owl Tor, how are we doing?
I am good, thanks. I'd like to say that I've missed your beautiful faces, but you don't give me a chance to miss you because we just can't get enough. So, but yes, it is wonderful to be back chatting all things Mets with you guys.
Cool. So, the off season. We last did the pod on the 16th of December. There's not a great deal has happened compared to previous off seasons, which is why we've not really been on the air, because there's not been a great deal to talk about. Obviously, we have been keeping an eye on socials. We have watched Mets Twitter implode on many occasions over lack of signings and other events. So just to recap from when we were last on the air, major signings and acquisitions wise, the Mets signed Bo Bichette, who signed a 3-year, $126 million contract just the other day. George Polanco was second base, first base, signed last year. I believe that came in the day we did the pod. I can't remember whether we talked about it or not, so I'm reminding you anyway. He signed a 2-year, $40 million deal for the middle of the order. Mets have also signed like Luke Weaver, who's a right-hand pitcher. He's going to be a setup man for the bullpen, looking likely there. Sung Chae Cheng is a shortstop claimed off waivers. I hope I did that justice. From the Tampa Bay Rays just the other day. Catcher Drew Romo was claimed off waivers from the Orioles on December 17th. And then we lost him on waivers to the White Sox on January the 8th. So thanks for your service, Drew. That's been a pleasure.
Much appreciated. You made such a difference.
Minor league wise, the Mets have made several pickups, including infielder Christian Arroyo, right-hand pitchers Michael Baumann, Zach Peak, Robinson Martinez, Tyler Burke, left-hand pitcher Trey McGough, and Kevin Herget has re-signed for the minor leagues. Departure-wise, we've lost Jeff McNeil. CJ, if you are out there, please let us know you're alive. I hope you've not abandoned us and the Mets, our Mets-loving fan from Belgium. Jeff McNeil's gone to the Athletics in what seems to be a bit of a salary dump kind of move. In return, the Mets got 18-year-old pitching prospect Yordan Rodriguez. So I'm sure that's another one for the minor leagues. Franklin Gomez, who was a lefty, he was traded to the Cleveland Guardians on January the 15th. So the Mets could get a little bit more international bonus pool space. Ji-Hwan Bae and Brandon Waddell have also been outrighted to the minors after they cleared waivers. We had some arbitration stuff going on as well. So the Mets were busy to reach 1-year deals with several key players that are in the arbitration sort of rounds. Francisco Alvarez, David Peterson, Reed Garrett, Louis Torrens, and Tyler McGill all returning next year. And then lastly, that international pool money that we got from the Guardians was used for international free agent Wandy Asijan.
Yeah.
He's a shortstop. He's 16. We've paid him $3.9 million to sign with the Mets. He was ranked by MLB as number 2 prospect in the pool. So the Mets doing great things yet again in the international pool. In addition to Wandy, we've also signed 5 outfielders, 5 infielders, and 5 pitchers, none of which I'm going to name because, as always, these are people who are 5, 6, 7, 8 years away from potentially even making it to the majors, let alone being anything to worry about in the short term. So, all things considered, there's been lots of comings and goings, prospects, etc. It's also worth mentioning that the Hall of Fame ballots and announcements are likely to take place tonight. Obviously, this tends to happen once we press stop recording. Highly likely that Carlos Beltran will be joining the Hall of Fame as a Met, which would be great. Nice to have another Met cap in the Hall of Fame. Controversial takes of the Hall of Fame aside, happy for Carlos. I think thoroughly deserved Hall of Famer.
I think from my time watching him, because he was a player when I first started watching the Mets, then from his time as a player, yes. Management, but he's entering as a Met, so we're not going to worry about that so much.
Yes, we will not say anything about Astros or any kind of alleged cheating and trash cans.
Yeah.
Not on this show.
No.
We're better.
Yes.
Oh, the other thing that was good about the Bichette signing, before I hand over to you guys, was the news that it looked like he was going to Philly on a long-term deal, and he ended up being a Met instead, which I don't know about you guys. It just made it that little bit. It's just made it that little bit sweeter knowing that we've taken him away from the Phillies. He's playing for a better team, albeit for a shorter period of time, but yeah, it just feels good to be stealing one from the Phils. So not gonna lie, that made me pretty happy as well. So that's everything that's happened. Tracey, any thoughts?
Can we have an outfield, please, Steve? That's on my wish list. I know it's a bit late for a Christmas wish list, but new year, new outfield. Because at the moment we have one regular outfielder, really, maybe 2.
I think there's 2. You got Tyrone Taylor and Juan Soto.
Yeah, I was waiting for that. Thank you very much.
But we need to beef that up a bit. It seems like it's all gone on the infield at the moment. Couple of pitchers, but yeah, please, Uncle Steve, can we have an outfield? Thanks.
Yeah, I think it's not unreasonable to ask. I know there are some Met fans that have been unreasonable with their asks to Mr. Cohen and his wife over the Christmas period. I'm not going to name names, but we know who they are. I think, yeah, an infield is looking pretty stocked. We've also signed Semien as well. Lindor's kind of a lock for shortstop, as we all know, which leaves the question, like you've got there's Beatty, there's Acuna, there's Mauricio, and Vientos. That's 4 infielders vying for what is effectively DH and the utility kind of can play it all role. It's worth remembering that Mauricio has played some outfield before in his past. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. And we also heard about Beatty getting some reps in left field as well. I mean, DH-wise, it's probably going to be Vientos, which then leaves the big question around Acuna. What's looking likely for him? He's had a very good winter ball season. Trade value's high. Could we see him going? That's maybe one to watch. But yeah, it's an interesting point, Trace. Like, we've got a lot of infielders. For me, there's still gaps in pitching as well. I know we've talked before about, you've got McLean, you've got Tong. There's these young guys coming through, but do we still need another starting pitcher? Are we going to push McGill into the bullpen? There's too many questions there for me on the pitching side of things as well. So I don't think this Mets team is done.
No.
I agree with what you're saying there. We are far from done. Obviously, spring training is still a good month away. We're well away from that taking place. There's still plenty of time to get stuff done. It's not time to hit the panic button. You got to believe. But yeah, interesting thought. Tor, what are your thoughts? What do you think?
Pretty much the same, really. So I love Met fans. You know, it's everyone was blowing up because we missed out on Tucker, and then was it like the next day we signed Bichette and the world is all right again. But I think the interesting thing for me is around what we do in the infield. And you and I were talking about how Acuna's stock might be pretty high right now as trade value. I think out of the options that we have, I like Vientos's DH. He did it quite a bit last year. It seemed to suit him. And he's good utility as well to keep around. Same with Beatty. Beatty is, you know, a good utility. He can play multiple areas in the infield. I mean, for me, it could be a toss-up between Acuna and Mauricio, maybe even both. We definitely need some outfield help, some cover there, and pitching. Everyone knows that we need at least one solid starting pitcher. There's, you know, we don't know what we're going to get from Manaya or from. So we haven't got a starting pitcher right now that we can kind of hang our hat on and say he's our ace. This again, still plenty of time. I don't doubt for a second that there is a plan. I said this the other day. You know, people were. I'm feeling a rant, and so I'm trying to not, but it's happening.
Go for it. Go on.
If I hear or read the word pivot one more time, honestly, no, there is a plan, people. There will have always been a plan with contingency upon contingency. I put a tweet out to this effect the other day. I don't think for a second David Stearns is a clever man. There will have been a plan, and they'd have probably had some sort of matrix. These are the positions that we're looking for. This is our order of preference, and these are the variables. This could become an option if X, Y, Z. Like, it would be like a dissertation, right? And they will just work through that plan. And as things become available, they'll be working on it. And we kind of like the fact that we don't hear about this stuff until it happens. So when you hear loads of noise, the chances are that's coming from an agent and it's nothing to do with the Mets. As in, they're using the Mets and Mets money to drive up the value for their player. If you hear loads of rumors, it's probably not even been thought about. So it's the ones that we don't hear about that are more likely to happen. So I don't think it was a pivot. I think it's following a logical plan. And I've said from the start, I believe that there's a plan. I believe in the plan, and I will judge said plan once it all comes together. No matter what we've already done on the infield, statistically has improved us. Whether it has, you know, I know, of course, there's the emotional ties to the guys that have gone, but statistically, there is no denying that on paper, another phrase I hate because it's not played on paper, but on paper, that infield is better than what we had last year. And I'm excited because I'm expecting more small ball. And we know how much I enjoy small ball. So there's going to be more hitting balls in play, runners in scoring position, less leaving them stranded. Let's just, we've recruited contact hitters, right? Not home run heroes. So I'm always optimistic, but I'm quite happy. I think, it's a little concerning, the lack of playing time that people have had to this point in the positions that they are likely to be in. So we're likely to see Blanco in at first base, Simeon maybe at second, and Bichette at third. And Bichette and Blanco particularly have not played in those positions much. If I think maybe like once each or something stupid. But we wouldn't have signed them if we didn't think that they could take those positions, right? So get me a nice, decent starting pitcher, an outfielder or two, happy days. Because I'm also excited to see our young pitching staff come through as well. I want them in there. We can get onto what we think about our closer situation. I mean, we're never going to replace Diaz, let's be honest. That's one thing that we're not going to do. But plenty of arms in the bullpen. That's been stacked. And again, we've got, we mentioned it before, we've got a couple of youngsters that can come through for outfield as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this would be a good time to say, let us know down in the comments, who would you like the Mets to bring in? What do you think? Do you agree with our takes? You got your own takes? Let us know. I think one of the ones that has been rumored, that's again rumored to be coming to a close, is the Bellinger market.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you think the Mets are in for him? Do you think that he's someone you'd like to see as a Met? Does he fix any of our problems, Tracey?
I honestly don't know at the moment, because everything's so up in the air with everything. And not to forget that next year is a collective bargaining agreement year, so likely to see a lockout, and what effect that's going to have on the market and the decision the players make as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's worth noting as well off the back of that Bichette has opt-outs throughout the contract.
Yep.
I mean, me and Toria were talking about this before the show. Like, we don't think he's necessarily going to take it at the end of this season, because that would be a bit foolish going into a lockout year. But yeah, I suppose you're right. Anything could happen with that looming over MLB. Yeah, I mean, Toria, do you think Bellinger, would you take him? Does he fix our problems?
Well, I mean, he doesn't solve all the problems, but yes, I like it. I think it would have to be the problem with it is length of contract, but we're not going to have to do much to get him with regards to he's with trade, so that's a bonus. Obviously, he fills a hole that we kind of need. I don't want to say that but he would be an upgrade. Okay, I'll give it that. But I think that it would have to be the right deal. I don't think it needs to be an all or nothing. I don't think that we need to overpay, is I think where I'm going with that.
Yeah, I think overpay, like we saw with the Tucker deal, I think, that's an overpayment. And it's easy for us to say it like now, looking at the Dodger deal sort of in hindsight, but I think it's a lot of money for someone who, don't get me wrong, Tucker's a good player.
Yeah.
But for 60 million AAV, like, I don't think he's that good. I think, yeah, you run the risk. And I mean, agents know this. They're not stupid. Like, they're trying to get the best dollar possible for their clients. Obviously, it's the business side of baseball. But yeah, I do agree with you. I think there is a potential trap here we could fall into with, like you said, teams. Certainly the Mets are getting played by agents for driving up top dollar. I think if we're not careful, they could fall into that. Desperation is probably the wrong word to use, but like feeling of desperation where it's like, oh, we need to make another signing. We need to get someone in through the door. And you end up overpaying for a Bellinger, and then you are sort of locked into this long deal. And I think what you were saying before, Tor, like clear from Stearns that we are moving more away from this. Let's have a lineup full of people that can hit home runs. It does look like the kind of bats we're signing are there to work the count, to go deep into at bats. They are not there to knock the ball out of the park every time. You know, I think Bellinger in that regard, he adds something. There's no denying that. And like you said, he is an upgrade.
Yep.
But I think there comes a point where you've just got to walk away, and it's not our money, and we know Steve Cohen's a billionaire, but there does come a point where you just kind of have to go, do you know what? No, it's not worth it. I can see you jumping. Go on.
Don't get me wrong. Like I would be over the moon if we signed him. Yeah. I would be absolutely buzzing about it, because it would be a great signing. I just have to trust that, like we said, that they don't get played, and they make the right deal. And you know, let's not. It always comes back to the Dodgers. We have to remember that yes, the Dodgers have all the money, but players want to play for the Dodgers, and that's okay. Like there are going to be some situations where it doesn't matter how much you offer, they're going to choose the Dodgers. So, you know, I mean, obviously Bellinger isn't in that mix, but I'll be over the moon. I just want it to be the right deal.
Yeah, apparently Yankees have offered 160 for 5 years, but he's seeking 266 for 7.
Oh, no.
At age 30.
Nope.
No, I'm not doing that deal. I mean, it'd be great, but like, I wonder if with that, if he's seeking 226 over 7, maybe there is almost a Bichette-like sort of, okay, we'll pay you a little bit more AAV, but we'll do it over 3 years with a couple of opt-outs.
I think it'd be more like 4. I think it would be a minimum 4 to get it done if he wants 7.
That then gives him the option to wait until the lockout and see whether there's anything more beneficial for him. But yeah, it's definitely a watch and see kind of market on him. I think we also talked about this earlier. There's a lot of other noise and rumors being made. I feel like it's just being made for the sake of filling TV space, and I'm not going to throw any shade at anyone in particular on MLB Network. But the concept of the Mets trading for Freddie Peralta, giving up, you know, what was it, Beatty, and there was a couple of others. One of them was Tong. I think everyone was
Tong. I mean, just take Tong off any trade conversation. Full stop.
Yeah, I mean, the Mets have got 6 years of control over Tong. There's no way they're giving that up for 1 year of Peralta. No matter how good Peralta is, like, unless you've got some sort of guaranteed extension within that, that's not even a pick up the phone kind of conversation. I feel like there's a lot of people that have ran with it, and it's been quite a discussion point today and in the last sort of couple of days on Mets Twitter. It's a stupid deal that's being crafted to fill the airtime. And you know, I think you're quite right with what you said earlier, Tor. Like, we don't tend to know, like, they are close kept secrets what goes on at the Mets. And you know, at the same time, maybe they are going down the route of like, well, let's play the kids. Let's see what happens, and let's play the kids. And if that is the case, I'm going to go back to Carson Benj, because we had to mention him at the beginning of the show. Happy birthday, Carson. You know, if the Mets go with him, we as Mets fans, and I'm not pointing this at people in particular, but they know who they are, need to be patient with that. Like, we can't throw the guy under the bus because in the first 5 games he's not hit 20 home runs and made like 4 game-saving catches. Like, temper your expectations with it. Like, if that is the route that they're taking, and the longer the off season goes on, the more it's looking likely. I'm sorry, but we're gonna have to temper those expectations. And like, I correct me if, like, give me your takes in a minute, but like, I would much rather see a bunch of the farm play, and we let them try and develop and see what they can turn into, rather than just, oh well, here's Joe whatever, and we're just giving him a 2-year deal to fill a position because the farm's not ready. Like at some point, the farm has got to be ready, and we've got to give them that chance. But then, with that, the fans have been crying out for it. We've got to have those like patient expectations, and they're not going to come up fully ready. There's going to be teething problems, and we're going to have to ride through that. But we can still do that and be competitive come the end of the season. That's very possible. Tracey, what do you think?
If it's a choice between sell the farm or play the farm, I would say play the farm. But like you say, with the expectation that we aren't going to win every single game, and that there are going to be mistakes made, but they're going to learn from those mistakes, most importantly. Let the kids play, and remember there's another trade deadline to think about. It's not just the one before the season starts. If we look like we're in contention later in the year, we can always make another trade.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And obviously injuries happen as well. We've not really sort of touched on that, but we saw it last year that there was a lot of injuries for the Mets, and that sometimes forces your hand as well. Certainly playing the kids, if it doesn't work out, trade them and get someone more experienced in. Like you say, there's a second trade deadline for a reason. So it's not over. It's definitely not over. Tor, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm all for the youngsters. We saw a number of them last year. They were really exciting. They're built of different stuff these days as well, right? I think by the time they reach the majors, they are in such different condition and mindset than what we saw 10 years ago when you know you got really kind of anxious when you saw someone come up from the farm on the rare occasion 10 years ago, right? But now, like, you can be excited because you know that they're going to come, they're going to have no fear, they're going to be generally like well built and stocked already. So for me, I think it's really exciting. It shows a lot of, you know, what's been put into the system over the last few years, the way that they're coming through. We have a really, really great crop, and if not now, when? Like, when do we try them? Yeah. The other thing, which we have mentioned before, when it comes to starting pitching, and coming back to your point about not trading too heavily for a pitcher for 1 year, I think we'll be looking for a 1 year pitcher. We'll be happy to sign a pitcher for a year because of how many good pitchers are coming up in free agency next year. So I think that does us a favor. I don't think, because on the starting pitching side, I don't think they're going to want to look. They don't need to look much beyond a year, because there are lots of very tasty pitchers becoming available in free agency next year, and we're in a position where we can afford to pay them. So I think that is going to have a part to play as well. Not to mention the CBA, which just makes me shiver because it was so painful last time.
Yes,
it was depriving us of our baseball. So I think that there's a lot of forward thinking that has to take place now, even as we're entering this year. There's a lot of things that we need to consider about next year when we're thinking about this year. Once again, I don't doubt for a second that is what David and the team are doing.
Yeah. Whilst you were talking, I just checked the Mets top 30 prospects on MLB.com. It's interesting. Of those 30 prospects, 14 of them are stated with an ETA of 2026.
Yep.
So even MLB's thinking like there's a lot of these that are coming next year. Obviously, it's a prediction. It's not a guarantee. Take it with a very, very large pinch of salt. But it's very interesting that like nearly half that list, they are expecting to make some sort of appearance.
They're usually pretty good, though.
They are, yeah, but it's not. I feel like Jet Williams has been at the top of that list for a while, and the year always seems to get pushed back with him. So like that's why I'm saying take it with a pinch of salt. Hit Jet Williams' ETA once again is 2026. take it with a pinch of salt. But you know, I think we can probably expect 10 of those 14 to make some kind of appearance. There's a lot of pitching in that. Some of them seem to be bullpen arms, so that wouldn't surprise me either. But yeah, it's definitely going to be an exciting kind of watch this space season. I feel it's not going to be. It's never dull as a Mets fan, is it? It's never dull.
No, it's a roller coaster being a Mets fan.
It's character building. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that sticks in my mind as well is like, despite the criticisms that Stearns and Cohen have had this off season, give me that over the Wilpons any day of the week. Like,
absolutely
any day of the week. And again, I'm not aiming this at anyone, but there's been more than a few people that have been like this in the off season. I just feel like there's a level of entitlement creeping in with some of the fan base. And it's just like, no, like, enjoy the ride. You got to believe. No?
And it's also Steve's money. You can't be spending it for him.
I'd like to. That'd be very
nice. Don't get me wrong. I'd love his bank balance. But like you say, there's an entitlement. Oh, we should get this player because we can afford them. But at what other cost?
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't find it now, but there was a tweet. It was a few days ago where John Saponaro posted a lovely long tweet in response to somebody else about the pros and cons of where David Stearns has acted, the things that he's done. It was mostly positive, of course, and he was saying, how so many people are being called apologists when actually we're just being rational and reasonable. So I did retweet it. We can retweet it from our account as well, because I think it was, it was a really good read. So yeah, have a look at that, because I think that it was a really good, well thought take on where things are at, and ultimately it always comes down to the same thing. Let's just wait and see. And no matter what, we've all said this a number of times, come the first day of spring training, come opening day, we're going to be cheering for our Mets. We cheer for our team. We can have favorite players, we can have emotional attachments to players, not mentioning any names, our own. But but ultimately it's Mets.
Yes.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Oh, also, given that it's Hall of Fame announcements, and David today, send in the good vibes for David.
Love a bit of David.
Does.
Surely he's got to get it in.
I'm not sure if it'll be this year.
No, but surely at some point.
Eventually. Oh yeah.
I as much as I love David, I think his career-shortening injury,
it certainly doesn't help.
Has hella affected his chances.
Ball knows ball, though.
Yeah.
I think.
Not only that, there's a bunch of great players that are not in it that should be in it.
Mm-hmm.
Keith.
I'm not even talking about the controversial ones either. There are some great players not in there that should be in there. So
no doubt we can have a whinge about it tomorrow.
Yes.
Group chat's going to be fun tomorrow, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Yeah. Well, say tomorrow, it's going to happen at 2:00 in the morning, and Toria will be live tweeting it in the group chat, and we'll all be asleep with better things to do.
No, I won't. I'll be good. I'll be
up at 5:15 if that helps. So I'll catch up with you then, Tor.
Yeah, I'll be up by then. It's fine.
Very good. On that note, I think we'll wrap it up there. We'll be back soon once more Mets things happen in the off season, and we're going to start looking ahead to spring training which is just around the corner. It will be here before we know it, which is very exciting. If you've made it this far, thank you. Thank you for listening. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. Bring more amazing Mets content to people across the UK, Europe, and beyond. All that leaves me to say, as always, thanks to Tor and Trace for joining. And as we always say at the end, let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets.